Hey everybody, Madeline here to do a report for the astrological sign of Aries for the month of April 2025. So the first thing that we're looking at here is the sun in your first house. Plus we had the eclipse there, so that would have been in your first house. So that's some very powerful new first house energy of new beginnings, revitalized energy of inspired new beginnings, initiating new beginnings. I mean, that's a very big, powerful new start for Aries right there. And also a new identity and a new sort of excitement around something. And then when the sun moves into Taurus in the mid-month of the 19th, that this exciting new beginning now becomes practical, and you have to find a way to make it applicable and realistic, and how to sort of turn it into an income. And it does happen. These beginnings are auspicious. They're new beginnings that last a good 30 years because of the Saturn presence in all of this. Then we have Mercury and Venus in retrograde in your 12th house, stationing direct in the mid-month, the Venus and Mercury on the 7th, Venus on the 13th, and basically wrapping up, burning off old karmic patterns, really integrating the lessons that the past choices and past failed situations, really integrating those lessons and making them cause you to be a shifted person. And also, there's a very nostalgic for those that are single, are there, and perhaps someone from the past. There's nostalgic energy and missing someone and wanting to reconnect, and also just in general reflecting on what it is we truly desire, who we truly love, what we truly want, and learning the lessons in the past mistakes. And then when the planets go direct, there's the lessons have been learned. They're going to be ready to make choices to go forward and to bring either a project forward with a divine counterpart. If you're in your current relationship, you both have clarity on how you want to go forward together in the future because the nodes are there. And if you're not in a relationship, you reconcile with a past true divine mate that you have a soul contracted, and this starts to go forward mid-April when these planets shift into Aries, which would be the 16th, and for Venus on the 30th. So we're seeing these sort of inspired new beginnings around lessons learned and karmic. That's the Gandanta point where we're untangling old knots. So there's this clear energy to start again. And then with Mars is also another Gandanta. It's going to move from a water sign to a fire sign. So there's always liberation and spiritual growth and sort of clarity around how you want to make these new inspired beginnings in these fire energies. So, with Mars transiting into Leo on the 18th, again, we've got the sun moving into Taurus on the 19th, Mercury moving into Aries on the 13th. And then we've got Mars moving into Leo on the 18th. I mean, these energies, plus don't forget, we're going to have Saturn and the North Node's conjunct on the 14th. So mid-April looks like a very pivotal month for Aries, where big changes happen and big new beginnings of real inspirational, totally new, but perhaps involving ideas and people from the past, but with a new, refreshed, cleared slate energy. Then we're going to have, and just to get back into Mars, with Mars in the fourth house, there would have been healing around mother issues or family issues, or um, also protecting home, and also perhaps being very reflective about what or where home is for the Aries. And then with the Jupiter in the third house, Jupiter really expands whatever house it's in. So there would have been a lot of mind racing, a lot of mental energy spent learning something, or just contemplating philosophy and higher consciousness and spirituality. And there would definitely be spiritual growth happening because of all those the North Node and Saturn being in the 12th house, and Venus, Mercury, and all of that happening in your 12th house, where you would have had some real reflective time to clear karmic patterning and karmic choices that are no longer serving you or you want to bring with you into this new era that's about to start. So, a lot of learning around spirituality and philosophy and higher consciousness and opening up your perception, sort of becoming more open-minded. And then Saturn in your 12th house is dissolving and completely eradicating an old life, an old structure, completely whatever you basically whatever the past life was, the life that's coming down, the old life that's coming down has old energy in it, it's old karma, and it moves Aries. The Saturn is going to move into Aries in gosh, when does Saturn move into Aries? I think June 3rd. Yeah, June 3rd. But it does conjoin the nodes on the 14th. So there's some big decision going to be made, a committed decision that's going to be made around that mid-month there that really lasts a good long time. That is as a result of having learned and having done some karmic reflection about the karma and untangling karmic knots that just brought you down, that did not elevate you to the life that you fully desire. And there's this liberating experience with that conjunction where there's this whirlwind of change and a willingness to secure and be devoted to a long-term committed relationship, endeavor, living situation, depending on your own personal chart. And then Uranus in the second house moves into Gemini later in the year in January. So we're also going to have a new moon in your second house. So this is all this sort of financial liberation. By the time that Uranus moves into Gemini on July 7th, you're going to feel a financial liberation or a good, steady, grounded ability to make an income that lasts for a good 30 years, feeling pretty solid in this new financial beginnings that really are around these energies of inspired new beginnings that happened in the eclipse and with the sun in your first, and when Venus and Mercury move into the first. So these are inspired new beginnings that last a really long time, like a good 30 years, and that do translate into a financial stability for the long haul. And then we're going to have a full moon in Libra on the 13th, right when all this stuff is happening in your seventh house of relationships. So there's a new partnership agreement coming in, or the culmination of one, or shall we say, if you're in the wrong relationship or wrong partnership agreement, that could dissolve and fall apart with this Saturn 12th house dissolve that's happening. And then you begin a new partnership agreement, a new marriage, a new relationship that lasts, anything that begins now is connected with Saturn. So we're looking at a long committed situation. So this is the month for Aries where the old life completely dissolves and you see the big shift of the new life beginning, and it involves mostly relationships, partnership agreements, and having really learned the lessons around relationships. And because you have had the nodes in your first and your seventh house for the last 18 months. So there's a real sort of ability now to be able to go forward in a committed situation, knowing what that is and feeling pretty grounded about your finances for the long haul. All right. I hope that is helpful. Namaste.